Thank you so much, Nico. What I'm going to do is to send some of resources that I'm going to be mentioning during this talk in the Telegram group that Nico mentioned before. So please feel free to join. And yeah, we're going to be here during the whole hackathon to help you guys build over the time. So yeah, introduction to Uniswap before. Happy to be here. As I mentioned, excited to see some of the Uniswap before implementations in the public goods space. But yeah, I just want to introduce this talk by saying happy to be excited to be here from the Uniswap Foundation and introduce what we do, which is basically supports the growth, decentralization, and sustainability of the Uniswap ecosystem, mainly through our 5 key pillars: protocol and innovation, developers, we are here for sure, governance, research, security, and so on. So yeah, to talk about B4, it's important for us first to understand what is like Uniswap in general and all of the versions that we have in the space, right? So the Uniswap protocol, it is a peer-to-peer system designed to for exchanging cryptocurrencies, ERC20 tokens, right? So if you want to trade USDC for ETH, the Uniswap protocol was this innovation protocol at the time that allows liquidity providers on one side and traders on the other to connect in one smart contract and have this possibility to trade in this space. This protocol is implemented as a set of persistent and not upgradable contracts. So yeah, this is important for all of us because now you not just can go and trade over the interface, but rather you can build your own possibilities out there. We do have different versions of the protocol from B1 to B3 and now B4. B1, it was the first version back in the day, 2018, where you just had the possibility to trade ERC 20 ETH only tokens, and yeah, like fee tier fixed at the time. Then Uniswap B2 in 2020 allows you to not just to trade ERC20 ETH tokens, but rather ERC20 to ERC20. You name it, every token out there. The thing is that, again, fee fixed, and at the time, I'm going to show you like in a little bit, but this price curve, it was a constant product curve. So no worries about that. Again, we're going to see in a few seconds. And then Uniswap P3 back in 2020-21, you have any type of like ERC20 to ERC20 tokens as well, more fee tiers, and then the price curve changed a little bit. So when I say price curve, the constant one, it's because back in 2020, yes, we have this like curve with all of the liquidity could be used during like the whole curve, meaning at the time we don't really had a better price execution. So if, for example, the slippage and like the whole thing, you can trade, and then prices might be a bit fixed in there. But then back in 2021, B3 launched, and we had this new innovation called concentrated liquidity. What does that mean is that now you don't have to trade over the whole curve, but rather in a small range that liquidity providers can fix. So that way, price execution on my level is better, and on the other, LP profitability. So yeah, how it looks in the interface today is that you go over and you set the range where you're going to add your liquidity. And now we have B4. So promise we're going to go over from the theory to the practice, but now that we have B4, we not just have all of these previous possibilities, such as like the concentrated liquidity and like the way that we traded back in the day, but also now we have singleton architectures, continuous fee spectrums, meaning now you don't have to have some sort of like set fee tiers, but rather you choose as a developer or as a builder the fees spectrum or dynamic fees that you'd like to implement. Then we have the ERC 6909 and then the Flash account and the hooks. But we're going to go over there step by step. Most important thing about the singleton architecture is simple: one contract, all the pools, all the tokens, gas efficiency. Meaning, back in the day, when you wanted to trade, let's say, ETH for DAI, you had like 2 steps in here. Or you can go from ETH to USDC and then USDC to DAI, or ETH to USDT and then USDT to DAI. Now, all of that happens in one contract, in one transaction, meaning gas efficiency in all the ways. So as you can see here, you go straight like doing all of these transactions inside along with the flash accounting, but in the end, it's the same output. You also have the fee spectrum because, as I mentioned back in the day, we had fixed fees, but now it's not a possibility. You just decide whatever you want. So as developer expression, you have the possibility to choose what are the behaviors you want to see in your trades, in your users, in your trading, whatever. And yeah, now that we have this singleton design, it is important because all of the operations in the pool state are managed by a single contract, which is the pool manager and B4. So important from a technical level. And then, as I mentioned, this not just provides gas savings, but for example, creating a pool is now a state update instead of the deployment of new contracts. So on the developer side, it's also easier, way more better to manage all of this. So as you can see here in mainnet, from V3 to V4, it's been getting better from like almost $60 to $4 on average, deploying all of these efforts. So now let's talk about hooks, which are one of the innovations across the V4 space. Hooks are just, let's say, scripts that you can add to the swap cycle logic, meaning before and after the swap, you can choose what are some of the logics. We have 14 hooks functions. I'm gonna show it right here. Let me go back and show you that these are, again, external contracts that can modify the pool behavior. The most important thing in here is that only one hook can serve a pool, but then one hook can serve many. So you add one hook per pool, but then you can use it for whatever. So in the end, if your example here in this hackathon, you create a hook that is important for the public good space, and anyone out there can also use it here, for example, because you have to research what are the hooks that you're adding to the space. But again, it's important, it's composability. So in the end, it's not just the things that you're adding to the space, but also the fact that anyone out there can also use it. So as a simple example, if we go before the swap, the start swap just started, and then it's going to check before swap flag. If something happened and you add any other logic, it is going to execute that plus execute the swap. Then it's going to check after swap flag. In that way, it is going to check if you add some sort of logic, and then it's going to end the swap. So think about all of the possibilities that we have, because we have before initialize the swap, after initialize the swap. Before add liquidity to the swap, after the add liquidity, or remove liquidity, or swap, or donate, or swap returns delta, or liquidity returns delta. Meaning these are like some of these are the 14 hook functions that we have, but there's plenty of possibilities out there. I brought some ideas around that you can guys implement during this hackathon. But yeah, you can pick up which functions you want to implement. You don't have to turn it on all of them. If you want to use a base hook is also okay. But yeah, most important thing is that you have the freedom to choose what you want to implement in your project at this point. So in the code, it's something similar to this. You have all of the 14 hook functions, and then you just gotta play with them and says like, yeah, I'm gonna turn on before initialize, true, or after the name, true, whatever. So yeah, some of the possibilities that I see from a personal standpoint on the public good space. Imagine, for example, implementing adaptive fees based on volatility on the network congestions. Or, for example, what happened if we set lower swap fees for token tied to social impact or environment impact? Or what happens if you redirect a portion of the trading fees to the public good funds? So that way, from the beginning, we are creating a sustainability ecosystem that can continue to grow. Or what happens in every swap or liquidity, add a code trigger like a micro donation function, and then the user or the pool can understand or shows what is like this micro donation tier. Or what happens if you execute a swap only after a donation transaction is verified on chain. So that way you can also verify what are the users that are interacting with your core product. Or what happened if you lower fees for verified wallets that donate or vote and governance before. So that way, again, you are making sure that the users interacting with your protocol are the core users and not just flash LPs out there. Or again, ensure that yield farming rewards go to consistent participants and not flash LPs. So these are like just some of the possibilities. But my call out here is that in this space, we have few resources with hooks already built. So in this Octant DeFi Hackathon in particular, we are not looking for people to build these hooks, but rather to implement it. So we have few resources that, again, I sent some of these resources in the Telegram group, but we have this OpenZeppelin V4 hook library where all of these hooks are already built and you just gotta implement them. So we're looking again for the novel implementations on the public good space, but on the you guys building all of these hooks. Of course, this context is important because now you can understand, oh, yeah, before the sub cycle, I need to understand that I'm gonna trigger this or that. Or I'm not going to do this, but rather I'm going to check after the swap if I need to add any some sort of like logic. So yeah, we have base hooks in here from async swap to custom curve to custom accounting, dynamic fees, and you name it. And as I mentioned, I brought some resources. So as per this hackathon as well, we created this mock hacker toolkit for Octant DeFi Hackathon, which is basically where you can find us if you have any questions. In our Telegram group, it's our developer support team. I am there for sure, happy to answer any question. Our docs for sure. What are we looking? Which is again this best Uniswap V4 hook implementation. So yeah, happy to see some of these projects come along. Plus a tutorial that also the OpenZeppelin guys helped us to create, where if you have any doubt from a technical standpoint, you can go ahead and like in 10 minutes practice what we learned in here. As I mentioned, how Uniswap V4 hooks work from this library. Then we also have the Uniswap Foundation builder support. So we hope that this hackathon is not just the end, but rather the beginning. So if after that you're looking to build on top of DeFi and on top of the public good space, the Uniswap Foundation, as I mentioned back in the presentation, we are here to help and support your your journey. So if you're looking for like start building in here or get some funds or being part of our initiatives, just let us know. We also have a hook V4 template. If you're looking to implement and create your own hooks, we're happy to have you as well. As I mentioned, for this hackathon in particular, we're looking for best implementations, but all of these resources are in our Telegram group. And again, the Uniswap, the OpenZeppelin V4 hooks library. Hopefully, this is going to do your journey way more easier during all of this time. And you're continue contributing to the public good space. These resources are in the TG group. So my name is Angela Ocando. As Nico mentioned at the beginning, Angela Ocando, Developer Community Manager at the Uniswap Foundation. And happy to provide any value or support if you need during this time. My contact, again, also in the TG group. And thank you so much, Nico. We're done here.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. Really appreciate that. I especially loved the public goods oriented recommendations on what you can do with the hooks. I think that's gonna be another, let's say, cheat sheet for hackers with some awesome ideas. I know there's always some questions around like wish lists. So there you go. Specifically for the Uniswap track, I think this is gonna be helpful. And for what I'm seeing, this is probably also applicable to a few of the other prizes and bounties that we have on. So if you focus on this, you might have some interesting chances, I think, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, again, as I mentioned, we're not looking for like creating some sort of like hook, but rather implementing. And I am particularly excited to see some of these implementations in the public good space. So yeah, excited.
Awesome. We have another question, and just to remind everyone, you can drop your questions here in the X live stream, in the X broadcast. We're gonna be putting them up on stage. We have Gamati who's asking, can we submit existing V4 hook projects with some advanced features? I can talk from the Octant rules perspective, like for the hackathon. We do allow pre-existing projects, but it's very important that you highlight which part is already existing and which part you're adding new or changing for this specific hackathon. If you go to our hacker manual that is pinned to the Telegram group chat and also to the Discord channel on our server, you will see the how you should handle if you want to apply with an existing project. Primarily, of course, you still need to build some new stuff, but just make sure to highlight what is the new thing there. But maybe, Angela, if you want to add a little bit to that.
No. Is it fair for the Octant DeFi hackers in here? So align with it. Yeah. Just make sure that, as Nico mentioned, please attach what you built in the past and what has been built during this hackathon. So clear.
Perfect. Amazing. Cool. All right. Any questions, feel free to drop them in the, we still have maybe like 10, 15 minutes here. So if you want to use the time, Angela, to talk, maybe, I know you've been also to a bunch of hackathons. Actually, we've been to a bunch of hackathons together, always bump into each other there. So if you have some hacker tips, that's always very, very much appreciated for our hackers here. So we'd love to hear that.
Actually, someone asked in Twitter that is building a front end from my project is mandatory. Not on our side, but just want to double check on the Octant side.
Also not, no. Just make sure that the code is clean and that you explain in the demo. You're required to submit a 2-minute demo. Just make sure to highlight the important parts there, and if you want to go deeper, just use the text. But it's important that you keep it at 2 minutes. But yeah, no interface, no front end needed really.
Nice. And talking about some of like the hacker tips, actually, yes, we met each other in like plenty of hackathons. I do think hackathons are a great opportunity to learn fast and faster than, like going step by step. So I really love to take this as a learning experience, but rather also as a way to learn better my friends and my colleagues or partners in there. So communication, I know might be not the obvious thing, but for me it's important. Like, how can you go with your friends if you're looking to build together and understand, hey, Nico, I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do that. These are my expectations. Let's align both expectations. And in the end, it is a way how do you present the idea, what is also, in my opinion, and from a personal standpoint, important. So make sure that you are explaining as clear as possible what are you trying to build. Some of the times we as judges, now in the other position, we understand that build all of the product or the project in just a few hours is not as easy as it seems. But if you guys can explain the idea and like the overall concept and how you're looking to improve this, I do think that's a great tip in my mind. And then understand that it's really hard to build everything from scratch from the beginning. So try to use as many like libraries and templates and like the whole thing out there. That's why, to be honest, I brought the OpenZeppelin library, because it might be easier for you guys to learn how to implement the hook already built than creating a new one with like its own logic and like the whole thing. And I also love to ask people if I am facing any blocker. Usually, what I do is to go straight with like the DevRel or like the developer support or whatever, and ask like with humble, like, hey, I don't really get what is happening in here. Can you please help me? And most of the times, in my perspective in this industry, everyone is open to, like to help you and to allow you to continue growing up in here. So these are like my 3 things or tips that I can count, but I don't know, Nico, if you want to add anything else.
No, yeah, that's exactly I think what I would recommend. The team is so crucial, as you mentioned, for me, and aligning on what the motivation is to join the hackathon, and understanding each other's skills, both strengths and weaknesses, so you can complement each other. It's super important. And we actually partnered with a tool called Cherry.builders to help you match make with teammates and make your teams. So yeah, just go there. There's already a bunch of hackers who signed up who are looking for teammates and specific skills, or who are willing to share their skills. So make sure to sign up there. That's for sure going to help with that alignment that Angela was mentioning. So just wanted to highlight that tool. All these links, by the way, are in the hacker manual. So don't be afraid that they're going to get lost in the ether here. But yeah, just make sure to have fun. Like, of course, it's a serious thing, but also, yeah, just understand that it should be a learning and a fun experience in general. Let's see if there are some more questions here. I don't see any more questions. Are there any other comments you'd like to share? I don't know, any. I think it's always cool to hear what are some cool things that you've seen in the past, because that can also give people some ideas around like what is expected from them.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, as hooks are like DeFi innovative like implementations at the beginning, and I'm gonna say from a personal standpoint, I actually started to creating on hooks back in 2024 in like East Global Hackathons when we met each other. And at the beginning, I was like, okay, what is the core of DeFi? And then from then I was like, oh, okay, these are some of the possibilities. It's here where I can like really says like, oh, what if we use like this? I don't know, the dynamic fees, for example, or like the donation part. How can we really implement this rather than like a theoretical way in like a product that it really can be used, right? So we came from this, like you more than me, this public good panorama, but like what are the weaknesses that we're seeing out there in the space? Oh, okay, maybe I should go and like build this rather than complicating yourself. So the way that I learn, it's in practice, but rather the way that I learn, and again from a personal standpoint, is like asking questions to myself, like why am I trying to build this, and why is this product in here, or why do we need it before in the first place, and why are hooks in this space, like what are the weaknesses that they saw for us in order to have these new possibilities in here. And I do think when you approach the ecosystem in that way, or anything out there that you want to learn, it's easier for you to understand, one, what to build, two, how to build, and three, like how to continue building, and like understand what are your like preference, because in the space we have plenty of possibilities. We just had this amazing yarn workshop, but then we're gonna have a few others. So it's a huge piece. Choose whatever passion for you the most and what is most important and interesting for you, and learn from it. I do think it's fun to learn that way. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you also just touched like two other important tips for hackers is one, like do your research, try to understand the space in which you're building, and maybe that's also another person that you can bring to the team, that's not necessarily technical. As you know, like I'm not technical, but most of the times I also play that role in the team, bringing like some interesting insight to hack on. So that is of course super important. And also keep it simple, like it's a hackathon. There's still a bunch of things that you can achieve, especially in a more longer form one, that like this one that is roughly 10 days, but it's still limited time compared to, I don't know, like building an actual fully fledged product. So make sure to adjust your scope to the time frame and the resources that you have, basically.
Yeah, you said clear and better. Nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
no, awesome, cool. Thank you so much, Angela. Really appreciate you coming on here. For anyone, again, like Angela is available in the chat. Yeah, in our TG group. We also have the Discord. If you have any questions, and she shared the resources there, where you can find more information. But yeah, if you want to give us some closing remarks, and then we continue with our workshops for today.
Public goods are a must. We really need these projects out there. So focus on learning and having fun during the weekend, but also understand if you want to continue being part of this ecosystem and take this as the beginning, not the end of the journey. So yeah, happy to have you out there and like support if needed. And yeah, remember why we are here in the crypto space in the beginning. And I do think public goods are the answer in the end. So yeah, welcome to the Octant DeFi Hackathon. Happy to provide any support during the weekend, and thank you, Nico, for the invite, and also Michelle, all the Octant team.
Yeah, thank you so much. See you in the chats, Angela.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.